Radio.
That was fucking great, man.
Welcome everybody to the Shit Radio, an unrefined podcast for the everyman. Tonight on the show, we're going to be addressing what I consider and many consider to be the greatest year of rock album releases. But we're also going to discuss the upcoming 2024 NFL football season and the Oasis 2025 reunion concert. So, we're going to start off first tonight by saying hello to the fellow host of the show, Mr. Liarz. How are you, sir?
Good day. Good day. Pleasure to be here. Happy to be here.
Okay, that sounds like he's also going to be doing ads for Vegemite later. And
Yes.
we're also going to say hello to our dear friend, one of the most beloved hosts of the show, maybe the most popular host of the show, Wasted. Wasted. I see we're drinking early. Wasted, how are you? How's things in Taiwan?
Need some a little time to wake up.
Liarz,
Yes, sir.
1991, a year you remember fondly, I take it. Can you kind of brief the audience on why we're considering this a great topic and why we're discussing it, and kind of give them an idea of what the context is and what albums we're talking about?
Now, I'm going to take it a couple steps further because we went through a couple top 50, top 100, top 10 albums of 1991, and the top 10s were pretty much the same in all of the examples that we used. So I'm going to be using the top 10 albums from 1991 from digitaldreamdoor.com. And we'll start at number 10. There's a band called Massive Attack. They released their album Blue Lines. And that was released they're an English electronic group, similar to another band that's on the top 10 list. I'll tie them in. April 8th, 1991, they released theirs. And then, of course, coming in at 9 and 8 are Guns N' Roses' Use Your Illusion 1 and 2, released September 17th, 1991. Out of Time by REM, March 12th, 91. Low End Theory by A Tribe Called Quest. So they're kind of like Massive Attack, that electronic kind of hip hop, very groovy. Low End by A Tribe Called Quest, September 24th. Also on the 24th, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Blood Sugar Sex Magic. Metallica released their Black album August 12th. U2 released Achtung Baby November 18th. Pearl Jam came in with their debut album 10 at number 2 on August 27th, and Nevermind was the consensus. My apologies. Consensus number 1 pick was Nevermind by Nirvana. This was everybody knows this album. It was Nirvana's second album, first one to feature Dave Grohl on it. It was produced by Butch Vig. It was recorded at Van Nuys, California, in Madison, Wisconsin, and it was also mastered in the mastering lab in Hollywood, California. Most of the songs on the album were written by Kurt Cobain. It was very much against the norm of the drug use and the machismo and the bigness of the late 80s going into the early 90s. This marked a new beginning. It was anti-establishment. It was anti-sexism. It was alienation. A lot of it was written about Cobain's first girlfriend. I didn't know this, but he dated Bikini Kill's Toby Vale. So, well, it's such an iconic album, right? And it had, like, when you think of Nirvana, you think of Come As You Are, you think of Lithium, you think of In Bloom, but then there's also Smells Like Teen Spirit, and there's Polly and Something in the Way and Territorial Pissings and Stay Away. Everybody knows all of these songs. So it's not that much of a stretch that this basically came in at number 1 on every single list. Now there's some other notables that were in there too, and this is just going into the top 50. We had Cypress Hill, Bad Motorfinger, Dangerous by Michael Jackson, Temple the Dog, Public Enemy, Death Certificate by Ice Cube, Original Gangster by Ice-T. You know, you had Lenny Kravitz, the Spin Doctors, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Ozzy Osbourne, Tupac, the Pixies, and Roxette. Like, when you think of these artists, you think of these songs, and they were all released in 1991. And I just wanted to add that Seinfeld and The Simpsons were both in their second season of their existence as well, and feature some of the most well-known episodes of both franchises' history. So 1991 is a year unparalleled by anything else.
Well, I think that you're missing some major releases there, which, you know, we got into like the hip hop talk and all that stuff, but look at it this way. You have Metallica's Black Album, which is their most popular album. That is probably, I think Nirvana's Nevermind is probably more iconic for the release, but probably more commercial success has got to be Metallica's Black Album. That came out that year. That's, you know, it's not my favorite Metallica album by far, but it's the most popular. It's the most mainstream. It's the one that really got them into like the MTV nonstop. Like, oh, look, it's Metallica time. Soundgarden's Bad Motorfinger came out. Pearl Jam's 10 came out. Okay. We're talking, this was pretty much alternative music's, grunge music peak. You have Temple of the Dog releasing Temple of the Dog. This is, you know, another thing is this. That year they had the one of the most underrated Ozzy Osbourne albums.
Yeah,
No
man.
More Tears comes out.
There's a man in the bush, That's a fucking great song, man. It was a magical time. Imagine that period from say August to November of 1991, getting all these albums released. Like, that's the majority of them were. I mean, it's just 1 week after another of getting fantastic music that you're gonna still listen to 30 years later.
But Liarz,
Imagine
we're not
that.
even done yet.
I know.
Skid Row's Slave to the Grind. We're talking the leader of the Swayze Express, one of the finest model railroad trains you'll ever find. Sebastian Bach and Skid Row and Slave to the Grind came out. And how about Van Halen?
For Unlawful Criminal Knowledge, that's right.
I mean, dude, it's non-stop. You had bands like, I hate Green Day. I think Green Day sucks giant amounts of, can't say this. So just, you can use your imagination, folks, what I want to say here. But, you know, Green Day, they had their Kaplunk album come out. You had the Pixies release an album that year too.
Yep.
On top of that, you had, I think, is it the first Smashing Pumpkins?
Gish.
All right. What about Cypress Hill's Cypress Hill?
Cypress Hill. Yeah, man.
That's their first one, yeah.
That album
I mean,
changed hip hop, man, because it was all gangster rap. It was Snoop and Dre and NWA and Ice Cube, and it was all leading up to that. And then Cypress Hill came out, and they brought weed into the mix. As silly as it sounds, they brought weed into the mix, and their songs were about killing people and smoking weed.
could you argue also that Cypress Hill was the first new metal band?
You know,
Like,
yeah.
Think about that for a second. Before there was Limp Bizkit, before there was Kid Rock, there was Cypress Hill.
Cypress Hill. Yeah. Oh yeah. Cypress Hill's first two albums, man. So this one that we're talking about and Black Sunday, released a couple years later, are, I don't know if I would call them new metal, but I can see where you're going with that because there's definitely a comparison to be made. Sure.
They had like a sort of Black Sabbath horror vibe to it, as I remember. Like the songs would open with like, you know, rain. And there's this kind of horror vibe to Cypress Hill.
My very favorite song by Cypress Hill is on the Black Sunday album. It's called Cock the Hammer. And yeah, at the beginning, that's the one with the rain and the wizard by Black Sabbath. and it's
Yeah.
such a haunting song. It's amazing.
Okay,
there's
so
also
And yeah,
think about
Kiss
that.
from the Bomb.
Kish was released in 1991. It is the band's first album. Just going back to that,
So
just to clarify, yeah.
it isn't that also Green Day's first album? So you're talking Smashing Pumpkins' debut album. You're talking Nirvana's debut album. You're
Nope,
talking
Nirvana's second album.
yeah, but Bleach can go suck a dick. I mean, how many people go, "Oh, I know what Bleach was"?
Yeah, I hear you.
I mean, realistically, like what? The fucking I had a tape cassette of Bleach. No, you got that afterwards, asshole.
Yeah, you're right.
You know,
You're right.
what I know maybe like legally and by the actual release, I'm wrong, but that's like saying, "Oh no, Appetite for Destruction wasn't the first Guns N' Roses album. It was what was the one before that? Live Like a Suicide." That's kind of
Right.
like the same comparison I like to use for Bleach and Nevermind. But you look at what was released then. So you have all these alternative bands, okay? You literally have the grunge bands releasing all their big ones, except Alice in Chains. That's the only band in 91 that didn't release that's part of the big grunge movement. I mean, you got Pearl Jam's 10. You got Soundgarden's Bad Motorfinger. You got Nirvana. They're all right there. But at the same time, you still have the big regular hard rock of, even though I guess Metallica, would you consider Metallica metal at that time, or would you consider them transition to hard rock? Because by now, I think the Black Album is them transitioning from being metal to hard rock.
Definitely
with
hard
Bob Rock producing it.
Okay, so you have the hard rock albums for Uncarnal Knowledge from Van Halen. You have Use Your Illusions 1 and 2 from Guns N' Roses. You have Metallica's Black. But then on the metal side of it, you got Ozzy Osbourne's No More Tears. You know, that's a giant thing right there. And then, then you want to talk kind of indie rock. You have REM's most popular album of the time and the one that they won the Grammy for come out with Out of Time. And Out of Time had, Losing My Religion on it, Shiny Happy People. It had a lot of really popular mainstream songs. You have U2's Ak Chung Baby. Are you guys really seeing how much shit you had that year come out?
It's incredible.
I was thinking that do you think that it's because it's like the beginning of the decade and all those bands? Like I know U2 and Metallica, they were all they did interviews about how they were basically they needed to change, to get in to stay like relevant. So, and then maybe Geffen with Guns N' Roses, they were looking at the decade. So everybody's in 1990, they were all thinking we need to get an album out now to kind of, to go forward with in the 90s. So everybody's putting out their best stuff at the beginning of the decade, because that's how record labels think, isn't it?
Sure.
Well, let me ask you this, guys.
80s is over. It's now the 90s. We need to do something. So I think that's why all these bands are bringing out their albums.
Well, let me ask you this, guys. We're even forgetting another great album. It's not my favorite Tom Petty album by far, but Into the Great Wide Open, July 1991. Kids these days and people I was, not a teenager yet. I was still a kid. So I used to get the cassettes I'd steal from my dad. But you two were both teenagers, almost adults. And you guys would go down to the record store. And every week there was a new CD. Every fucking week.
Because I remember, in 1991, there's a music weekly paper in the UK called Melody Maker. Every year they do their top 100, and I had the same thoughts that we're having now when I looked at the list, because I just come out of Appetite for Destruction. I knew about all these bands, and then I was looking down the list, and you had those, but you were also looking at hip hop, like you were saying. And then there was Acton Baby there, and there was Metallica's just gone hard rock, and there was also there were albums that were huge in the UK, but maybe not that well known around the world, like Bandwagon S by Teenage Fan Club, and there was Screamadelica. Screamadelica's on that list, Primal Scream. That's a huge record in the UK, and also Jesus and Mary Chain.
That's Atomic Dustbin.
Yeah, I mean, I had that record. So when I was going down the list, there was all the stuff like Ned's Atomic Dust was like the stuff you got into when you were like a really young, like a teenager.
Okay.
And then there was like Michael Jackson brought out Dangerous.
That's right, Dangerous.
So you're like going down the list, and it's got everybody that like you like right that year, but there's also all these other bands coming through, and those hip hop artists, like you said. So
we're not even talking pop, guys. I mean, there's plenty of country albums and pop albums that were released. I mean, I just don't remember any other time in existence that this many great albums came out at one point, especially in, a matter of months, because these weren't like, really, spread out from January to December. Majority of these were all from what were you saying earlier, Liarz? Like September to November?
September to November were the majority of those albums, yeah.
I was thinking about it, and I was thinking about like the only one I can remember is 1968. If you look up 1968, it's like it's Beggar's Banquet by Rolling Stones. It's like the White Album by the Beatles. That's 1968 is also a really good year.
But we haven't seen anything like it since. I mean, guys, look at it this way. We're just went over Temple of the Dog, which I mean, I think superior to Soundgarden in every single way. And Temple of the Dog came out then. You got Hunger Strike, Say Hello to Heaven, Pushing Forward Back. I mean, you're talking some really, really crazy good shit that was coming out, and it was just nonstop. And like this was all over MTV. This was rock radio, like ruled the airwaves. Everyone was listening to music. I was in elementary school then, but we all used to talk about music. Nothing like that exists anymore, and it hasn't existed.
Yeah.
Basically, that
I can't
year,
remember the last
1991,
time.
that year, 1991, it defined the next 20, 30 years, didn't it? Because Nirvana and, like, I don't think Faith No More on it, but Nirvana, Faith No More, like you said, rap, like hip-hop, that created, like, new metal. So it kind of snowballed. But they're all, like, influenced by those 90s bands. So it was basically 90s was huge for, like, rock. And then that had, like, a carry-on effect. And it never really came out of that. The band
Another
another
album that was released in 91, it wasn't Faith No More, but it was Mike Patton's side project, Mr. Bungle. So it had that influence of Faith No More, and it was
Bungle as well in 91.
Mr. Bungle was absolute madness. It was madness as an album, but it's still. I mean, I keep using these words. They're iconic. All of them, every single one of them is iconic.
Yeah, Mr. Bungle and Faith No More basically invented new metal.
Yeah.
Every new metal artist like always says like, oh, Mike Patton, or Faith No More, because it's metal. It's Black Sabbath rather than Chili Peppers. Chili Peppers are like funky rap, yeah. So other bands came out of that, and maybe they also like that. But it's always Faith No More. Like, I know, I bet you Slipknot like Faith No More.
It's funny, guys. We're not even talking about this right now, but we asked Franz earlier. Franz is not with us because we record at a time where he's asleep. It's like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning Franz time. But he brought up something earlier too. We're forgetting about Queen's Innuendo album.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, is that even though the list had all the bands, there were new bands, and there were the bands that you knew about, and then there were all the old bands were bringing out albums as well. Like, are the Stones on it? The one year that the Stones didn't release an album.
Nope, Flashpoint came out.
Oh yeah, I had that. That's when I was buying CDs around in the 90s. I bought every CD that was available.
I'm probably the biggest fan of this guy, of anyone who listens to the show or, is in the communities that we're in or whatever. But Lenny Kravitz's Mama Said came out that year too.
Yeah.
I mean,
Lenny Kravitz was on like Top of the Pops in the UK.
But it wasn't just, we've talked about rock music, and I guess we can continue on that. But Boyz II Men's Cool High Harmony came out that year, which that was huge. I mean, Ice-T's original Gangster came out that year, which is like one of the king of raps, one of the top rap albums. I cannot speak tonight. One of the top rap albums ever. Seal came out that year. NWA. So NWA's released an album that year, but I can't say the name of it because it will get censored.
it's you say it backwards, right? It's Afil for Zagan.
Okay.
I
Anthrax
remember this. I remember the controversy when this album came out, because of the title, and how they were kind of being cheeky about it, saying it's not what you think the album title is Afil for Zagan, right? And they were laughing about it, and it was a big fu to the record industry at the time, because people were still shocked by stuff, and people were still on their moral high horse at the time, and you just couldn't, they were coming off of Two Live Crew, where they just were in everybody's face, and NWA comes out and they're like, well, hold on, if you guys are doing this, we're going to do this, and it's kind of like in their face, and they were laughing about it. It's, yeah, man, it's
well, Liarz, I'm going to continue.
Yeah.
You want to know why? Because
Yeah.
Anthrax released Attack of the Killer Bees.
beauty.
I'm still going right now, folks. Slick Rick released The Ruler's Back, which any of you OG hip hop fans will know. The Ghetto Boys released We Can't Be Stopped. Hey, don't hate on the Ghetto Boys, dude. I love the Ghetto Boys. That's some good shit right there. Hey, listen, Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch released Music for the People. All right? I don't know. Maybe we should just end it there, because, I mean, I don't know if we're going to top that.
Is it just our age, though? That year was the year that we would be paying most attention. But I think it did define the next 2 decades, 3 decades. So it's not just the fact that we were there at the time and they were all, and those bands. I think it's the record companies and the bands wanted to, the 90s. They wanted to make an impact on the 90s. They could all see the money coming in. A new decade. I don't know if it happened did it happen in 2000, 2001? Were there a load of bands trying to make their mark, at the beginning of the zeros?
Okay,
I mean, that's really when Korn came out, isn't it? Korn released their debut somewhere around there.
Speaking of Korn, let's talk about Public Enemy releasing Apocalypse 91, The Enemy Strikes Back.
Gotta believe it, man.
Scarface released my Mr. Scarface is back. I'm still going here, boys. We got a Warren Zevon release, Mr. Bad Example, which wasn't one of his memorable ones from my knowledge. Ice Cube's Death Certificate.
Yeah.
Big Daddy Kane. Prince of Darkness. Good Lord. This
Big
one's
Daddy.
for our old departed friend JB, The Grateful Dead, Infrared Roses. Stevie Ray Vaughan released The Sky is Crying.
basically had
Aerosmith
everything.
released Pandora's Box.
Did they really?
And L7 brought out their debut album.
Okay. So L7's debut album came out. Aerosmith's Pandora's Box came out. Liarz, I don't know, because I'm pretty sure that Wasted's not going to be digging this as much as me and you. Tone Loc's Cool Hand Loc.
You know,
Is it Funky Cole Medina?
they play that song all the time on the radio up here. My wife loves it, and dude,
Dude, your wife kicks ass.
That's just the staying power of this music, man. This is 33 years later, and Tone Loc is still being played on the radio, man. It's fucking insane, man.
Is Vanilla Ice on there?
No, I think Vanilla Ice was the next year or the year before.
And Prince
Live
is
released
on
their
there.
second studio album.
The Prince is definitely on there.
Prince is on here, yes. I cannot believe how much shit came out. And by the way, it looks like that Tone Loc album was not the big popular one. This one only had All Through the Night with El DeBarge.
El DeBarge.
Yeah, I think the one we were looking for is Loked After Dark. So that's the one that was the good one.
Loked After Dark.
Who knew that Tone Loc made so many albums? Oh, dude, speaking of... Dude, it's just insanity right now. Now, with all these albums that we're talking about, guys, what would you say are the ones that, you're like, this is amazing? Which ones would you say, oh, these sucked? What would you say is the most overrated album from 1991, guys?
don't think you're gonna like my opinion, my choice. I'll let Wasted go first, then I'll tell you mine because I don't think you're gonna like it.
I think like Nevermind is probably the most like overrated because it's so highly rated. You know, because they're just simple songs, aren't they? It's not as mind blowing as they say. I mean, Smells Like Teen Spirit did blow the doors off the whole thing at the time, but it's not like a really like. I remember my art teacher at school like saying that it's all been done before. You know what I mean? Which is true. So it wasn't anything innovative. There were a lot more albums on there that are more like even the rap stuff. It's more kind of interesting than Nevermind. Underrated, I would just say Primal Screams, Screamadelica, because it's so like, especially American audiences don't know it at all. Yeah. I don't think, but it's it's not really a rock album, but it has something of that in it. But it's kind of like I always likened it to Change. You ever hear like Changes Bowie? It's like a compilation album of all his hits, and everybody likes it because they're just like beautiful songs. Yep. And I remember there were like people at college that when they heard Screamadelica, they were just like, they didn't like music, they didn't even go out, you know, they weren't like clubbers or anything. When you hear it, you can have that playing in like a shoe shop, you know, and it sounds amazing. You know, it's almost like the Beatles remix album or something. You know, it's so futuristic and ahead of its time, but it's also so easy to understand. And when you listen to it, you can have it playing in your garden at a garden party. I don't know. Screamadelica is like an amazing album, just creatively. And my favorite, I don't know, it's probably in that list. It's not all the bands that are like my favorites probably came before. You know, there's not much hair metal on there either. No. So my favorite albums are not on there, but like the Jesus and Mary Chain album, that's probably one that I listen to a lot.
Well, since I'm going to be the asshole here, and Liarz is trying to hold back, and I kind of know where he's going to go for most, because I know him, most overrated. And first off, fuck you. Shotgun Blues isn't that bad. Let me say this, and this is just my personal opinion, but I think Soundgarden's one of the most overrated bands in the history of rock. I think Chris Cornell has one of the greatest voices in the history of rock, but Soundgarden songs are just depressing and whiny, and they're boring. I don't like Soundgarden. I never have. I love Audioslave of Chris Cornell. I think he's a fantastic musician. I just don't like Soundgarden. I just think they suck. So that's going to be my most overrated. I just can't fucking stand them. Most underrated, I'm probably going to say Lenny Kravitz, Mama Said, because I love Lenny Kravitz, and I think that's a really good album. It's one of his best. I almost want to say Red Hot Chili Peppers, Blood, Sugar, Sex, Magic, but I know it's not underrated. Like, I know so many people listen to it, so I can't really say that. So I think underrated, I'm going to go with Lenny Kravitz. My favorite album, and I'm just going to lump them in as one because it's just the same album. They just released them separately because they wanted more money because, you know, capitalistic America. I still love Use Your Illusions. I still think it's overall amazing. I'm a GNR fan, obviously, and I think that it's their second best release after Appetite by far. And I know they're not all winners on there, but I enjoy it. All right, Liarz, it's your turn.
We actually have Franz's picks for the most overrated and underrated albums of 1991. He mailed them in. He was really excited to get in on this one too, because it's such a cool topic. So underrated album for him is Innuendo by Queen, and probably the most overrated album was Massive Attack, Blurred Lines, and U2 Ak Chung Baby. I can't really disagree with those choices either, right? They're pretty bang on. Okay, so for my most underrated album, it's hard for me on this one, but I think I'm gonna go Low End Theory for from Tribe Called Quest, just because it's such a phenomenal album. and it just, you start it from one side, play it right to the other side. It's just one big groove, and you just sit and chill, and it's just good listening music. Fantastic album by A Tribe Called Quest. Introduced me to their rest of their to the rest of their discography. So I think that album is underrated. Most overrated album, and I fucking hate this album. Just straight up, I fucking hate this album, is the Black Album. I think it's a terrible album, and it marked the signal. It was marked the end of Metallica. Metallica changed with that album. You had Kill 'Em All, which is okay. I don't really like Kill 'Em All. It's a good thrash album, but I don't really like it. Then you got Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets, and Justice for All. And when I think of Metallica, that's what I think of. I think of that Metallica. And then the Black Album came out, and all of a sudden they're playing songs like Unforgiven and Enter Sandman. They're no different than Nickelback. They're radio rock, and it's garbage.
Before you move on, I just want to ask you, do you think that the fact that Cliff Burton, because he died, was replaced by Jason Newsted, that really played instrumentally in how they changed their whole sound? And the fact that Dave Mustaine, who was from the earlier albums, the first two, and then I think he's even credited on some of Injustice for All, do you think that the whole band kind of shifting to where it was just really Kirk, Jason Newsted, and Lars now just running the whole show, and not having Cliff Burton in there to throw more stuff in there, and not having carryover stuff from when Dave Mustaine was in there? Do you think that really changed the band in general? Because there's definitely a difference between pre-Black Album and post-Black Album Metallica.
So I think Cliff Burton obviously played a huge role in Metallica, and that their sound on those albums that he was on. And then Jason Newsted, I think, was perfect in the band, and he was great on Injustice for All. Amazing. What you were talking about before there, Wasted, about changing their style and changing their sound, that was Metallica. And I just recently heard an interview or read an interview with them about how they collectively, including Newsted, because he was on the Black Album. The difference between Injustice for All and the Black Album, I can see why they got rid of him after. It just wasn't the same band. But
Jason Newsted was with them all the way till, I want to say, Saint Anger, dude. I thought he wasn't on Injustice for All, but he was on Injustice for All, but he was with them all the way until, Newsted was with them. He was on Load and Reload. So yeah, he didn't leave until 2001.
I didn't realize that. My mistake. I didn't realize that. I thought he was out after the Black Album, but I guess not.
I think Dave Mustaine always claims to have he wrote a lot of the songs or parts or something on Kill 'Em All, or the early stuff.
Yeah, Kill 'Em All.
He was the lead guitar player.
Yeah, and then Lars is the one that instigated this kind of these commercial moves to stay relevant, I think. He was always convincing Hetfield that, we need to leave thrash behind, and because Lars really liked Guns N' Roses, as I remember. So I think they're trying to stay relevant, and it worked, commercially. They got all those ballads. MTV, you need ballads and to be on MTV, don't you? Thrash doesn't really work on MTV that well.
Do you know what's funny about Metallica? And especially about Lars? It's an observation. I want to see if you guys agree with it. You guys ever notice that Lars looks almost exactly like Phil Collins? They both play drums.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have the sort of bald mullet.
Yeah.
Which is the and the shit comb over. I'm rocking at the moment.
I just, I agree with you. I think the Black Album's a really good album. I really liked it when I was younger, but I can see your point. It's definitely a change in Metallica, and I do think it's overrated comparatively to their earlier work. So that's pretty fair. Now, Liarz, what's your favorite album from 1991?
It's hard. I'm a huge Guns N' Roses fan, so I love Use Your Illusion 1 and 2. So, I mean, it's a toss-up between that, and I mean, I still listen to Cypress Hill's first album on the regular. I can sing that album from start to finish. So I'm a big fan of Cypress Hill.
Well, obviously you're teasing the audience here. Take it away, buddy.
Where are we going?
Is Pigs on that album?
I thought you were going to sing for us.
No, I'm not going to sing. Pigs is the opening track on that album. Yes, it is. Wasted.
Insane in the Membrane was on the other one. That was
Black
their biggest
Sunday.
hit.
That's on Black Sunday. Yeah, and that's probably their biggest hit for sure. But
and just to correct something, because we were kind of going through the list, I mentioned that that Aerosmith album. That was actually like a compilation greatest hits album. It wasn't a new release. Yeah, still, just the amount of music. I mean, dude, I can't ever think of a year that this much music came out, and it was such quality music and such industry-changing music. And I don't think it was ever met anywhere close to that again. In any genre. Maybe country music has had a year after that. Maybe rap sometime in the early mid 90s might have had a year like in 93 or 94, probably more closer to 94, maybe 90, somewhere in the 90s I could see rap having that, but this was definitely the last year of major rock albums. And the funny thing is, I think all of us would probably agree that this is not anyone's best album. Like from the big rock bands, this is not any of their best albums. I don't think it's Nirvana's best album. I don't think it's Guns N' Roses' best album. I think we all agree it's not Metallica's best album. It's not U2's best album.
It is
Pearl Jam.
It is 100% Slave to the Grind is 100% Skid Row's best album though.
Do you think Slave to the Grind is better than Use Your Illusion? I've always thought Slave to the Grind is like a better album than either Use Your Illusions. Because Use Your Illusions like rely on covers.
One-on-one?
A little bit.
If I'm going to take Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 and break it down to one album and put that up against Slave to the Grind, as much as I love Guns N' Roses, I think Slave to the Grind takes it. That's how good that album is, man.
I don't mean that like Guns N' Roses have more excess and more different types of songs, but Slave to the Grind, that album is perfect.
It's fucking amazing, man. It's one of the best. It's probably the best heavy metal album of all time, I would say. I know like that's a lot of albums to go through, and a lot of people might be upset listening to this, but you're right, Wasted. Slave to the Grind is a perfect album. It's from start to finish, amazing.
And like Wasted Time, or say In a Darkened Room, isn't that that's equal to something like Don't Cry, isn't it?
For sure it is.
But like Slave to the Grind and Monkey Business are probably better like rocker songs than anything on Use Your Illusion, other than You Could Be Mine. Like if you listen to them side by side, Use Your Illusion production brings it down a little bit.
I think the production on Use Your Illusion is really good.
Yeah, I like the production, but it's very flat.
Okay.
And kind of some of the drumming sounds a little bit like a machine. Like they've got the same kind of plodding kind of drum beat throughout the whole thing.
I can agree with that.
But there's so much variety there. There's definitely more variety. And Axl's a better singer, and the lyrics are sort of better. But somehow...
Oh, Wasted. Hold on a sec. You think Axl's a better singer than Sebastian Bach?
I don't know, like
at that
the variety.
Time. Like we're not talking now. At that
lyrics
time, in
and
1991,
is more like comes across more. Whereas sometimes, even though Sebastian Bach has a bigger range, doesn't he? And but he's a little bit more like not as original.
You're all on crack.
You know what I mean? Like Sebastian Bach could be like David Coverdale. David Coverdale's a good singer, but he doesn't quite have. There's something in Axl's voice that is sort of unique.
I like the comparison you just made to David Coverdale and Sebastian Bach. I think that one's pretty legitimate. But to think that Sebastian Bach has anywhere near the vocal range of Axl Rose is out of your fucking mind. I mean, you want to talk Axl Rose and vocal range, buddies, we got to go sit down and talk like Chris Cornell and Freddie Mercury. Instead of that, get the fuck out of the conversation. Maybe Lane Staley. Those are the kind of singers you can go compare Axl Rose to. Don't compare fucking Sebastian Bach screaming at a high level to fucking Axl, who can, that's insanity.
I don't know. I saw them both live in '91. And the Skid Row show, Sebastian Bach has a pretty powerful voice. He can do crazy, like, like long screams, and he can do quite a bit. I think Axl has a higher, like he does falsetto, doesn't he sometimes? But I just think that the Slave to Grind is like a very like commercial kind of great record with hardly any filler on it. Whereas there are bits and pieces of Use Your Illusion which are like filler that you think maybe this shouldn't be on the record, but they're all good. So, and it had a kind of wildness to it. Use Your Illusion. Had a craziness to it.
I'm still sitting back trying to understand how Liarz is comparing Sebastian Bach to Axl Rose vocal wise. Just like, I don't get it. But hey, people have different opinions. That's fine. One thing though we were talking about is, we kind of all agree that this isn't anyone's greatest album. I mean, maybe you can say Ten's Pearl Jam's greatest album. It's not my favorite album. It's, maybe Blood, Sex, Sugar, Magic might be Red Hot Chili Peppers' greatest album. It's not my favorite album by them, but overall, the music is just fantastic this year. I mean, do you guys agree with those kind of takes, or do you guys disagree? I mean, even like Van Halen, obviously we're not going to say For Uncommon Knowledge matches anything from the David Lee Roth era, and it's not even, 5150 from Hagar era, but it's still pretty damn good.
It's a good album. It's Pound Cake. Remember Pound Cake? He played it with a drill, I believe, at the beginning. Eddie Van Halen got that sound effect by using a drill with his guitar. Yeah, it has Van Halen's biggest hit on it, doesn't it? Right now.
Is that can't be their biggest hit.
Dude, that I'm gonna do a quick dive on that song because that song was absolutely mad. It was everywhere. It was in advertisements. It was on TV. It was, the Van Halen was singing it.
I just can't think that's their biggest hit. I mean, I know it was everywhere. It was a great tune, but I just can't think that's their biggest hit.
Jump must be their biggest hit. I've heard of that one.
Yeah, I've heard of that one too.
Thanks, Wasted.
No,
just the music in general is just fantastic, and I don't think we're ever going to see another time like that. I know we're repeating ourselves by saying that, but I think it needs to be stated. It's such a drop off afterwards. Like all the bands, like they had some good albums afterwards, but it's never a time again where you had so much in such a short period of time. And maybe the whole, Wasted has a point. The music industry changed, but now it's nothing. I mean, I get that people love Taylor Swift, and like when Taylor Swift releases shit, people go out and buy it. But I can't remember anyone, lining up, for big giant music releases anymore. I know a lot of them happen digitally, but I just don't see the same enthusiasm and same excitement from people. And I think it's a time in the world that we're never going to get back. And, for us that lived it, it's really cool. And especially for you guys that was like really in your peak time. I mean, I'm really starting to get concerned about Wasted, realizing that he's more of a hair metal guy than he ever was a hard rock guy. Because now I'm just picturing that Wasted was running around London back in the day with fucking spandex pants and fucking peroxide hair. But